My girlfriend used my grandmother's necklace for a TikTok trend, so I took it back, ended everything, and told her followers why she was suddenly gone. I'm a 27-year-old guy, and there's only one item in my life that actually means something to me. My grandmother's gold necklace. It's simple, with her initials ML, graved on the back, but it's the last piece of her I have. She raised me after my parents' divorce, and when she passed. She left me that necklace with a note that said, "For when you need to feel loved again." Kept it close ever since. Never wore it out, never showed it off. It wasn't about its price or appearance. It was about connection. That necklace got me through nights when grief felt unbearable. I'd hold it and remember her voice, her laugh, the way she'd hum while cooking breakfast. Losing her felt like losing my anchor, but that necklace reminded me I wasn't truly alone. Then came Bella. When we started dating, I wanted her to know who I really was, not just the surface-level version. One night, while we were lying on my couch, I told her about my grandmother, how she basically raised me single-handedly, how that necklace wasn't just jewelry, but a heartbeat in metal form. Bella's eyes lit up as I showed it to her. "Oh my God, it's so vintage," she said, running her fingers over it. "It's got that whole retro aesthetic vibe, you know, like something you'd see on Pinterest." I laughed it off, thinking she was just appreciating it. When I told her how much it meant, she nodded and said softly, "Don't worry, babe." I'd never touched something that personal. I believed her. I wanted to, but looking back now, it was the first time I ignored the quiet voice in my head. The one that whispered that some people admire things, not because they understand their meaning, but because they want to own them, and soon, I'd learn how right that voice was. When Bella and I first started dating, I knew she loved social media, but I didn't understand how much. What began as cute selfies and food photos quickly turned into a full-blown lifestyle. Every dinner had to be content-worthy, every date had to fit the vibe, and every conversation somehow turned into brainstorming her next post. At first, I thought it was just her passion. She called herself a creator, and honestly, I admired her hustle. She'd spend hours editing videos, rehearsing transitions, and memorizing trending audios. But over time, something shifted. Her obsession with views started replacing her sense of reality. I remember one night vividly. We were supposed to have a quiet dinner. No phones, just us. Halfway through, she reached across the table, adjusted the candles, and said, "Wait, this lighting is perfect. Just give me a second." Before I could respond, she was filming, narrating how her boyfriend surprised her with a romantic dinner. She didn't mention that I was the one sitting silently. Watching her replay takes for 10 straight minutes when she posted it. It blew up thousands of likes, comments calling us couple goals. She glowed with excitement, scrolling through notifications like it was oxygen, and I just sat there wondering when our relationship became a performance. One night I tried to talk to her about it. I said, "I feel like I'm dating your followers sometimes, not you. You're being dramatic. This is just how the world works now. You either share or disappear." Her words stuck with me, share or disappear. It didn't sound like passion anymore. It sounded like pressure. Like her worth depended on strangers' approval. I didn't know it then. But that hunger, that desperate need to stay relevant, would soon consume everything, including the only thing I thought she'd never touch, the one thing that should have been untouchable. It happened on a quiet Sunday morning, the kind of morning where the world feels slow, soft, and safe. I'd just made coffee, opened the blinds, and planned to spend the day doing absolutely nothing. But as I reached for the small wooden box on my dresser, the one where I always kept my grandmother's necklace, and my stomach dropped. It was empty. I froze. My mind started racing through possibilities. Maybe I'd moved it. Maybe I'd left it somewhere else. I tore through drawers, checked my bags, even looked behind the dresser. Nothing. Panic rose in my chest, sharp and cold. That necklace never left that box. Ever. Bella. I called out, trying to keep my voice steady. She came into the room, holding her phone like she always did. "Hey babe, what's wrong? Have you seen my grandmother's necklace?" She blinked just for a second too long, then smiled awkwardly. "Oh, Yeah. I borrowed it for a video. It's in my studio bag, I think. My heart stopped. You what? She shrugged, walking past me like it wasn't a big deal. Relax. I just needed something sentimental looking for this TikTok trend. I was going to put it back. Bella, that necklace isn't a prop, I said, my voice shaking between anger and disbelief. It's the only thing I have left of her. She sighed dramatically. You're overreacting. It's fine. I didn't break it or anything, but she didn't get it. She didn't see the weight behind it, the years, the love, the loss. To her, it was just another shiny object that fit her vintage aesthetic. I wanted to believe she'd meant no harm. I wanted to think it was just a careless mistake, but deep down, something inside me knew. Once someone treats what you treasure like a trend, it's only a matter of time before they destroy it completely, and I was about to find out just how far she'd go for a few seconds of fame. Later that night, I was lying on the couch, trying to shake off the anger. Bella was in her studio room editing, her phone's ring light flashing against the hallway walls. I told myself I was being dramatic, that it was just a video, but something kept nagging at me. Out of instinct, I opened TikTok. The very first video on my feed stopped my heart cold. It was Bella, titled Turning my boyfriend's grandma's necklace into a luxury dupe. The video showed her holding my grandmother's gold necklace in her perfectly manicured hands. So my boyfriend has this super sentimental old necklace, she said with a giggle, but it's kind of plain, right? So let's make it pop. I watched in horror as she dipped it in paint, glued on rhinestones, and laughed while saying, "No shade to Grandma. But we're elevating her vibe." The comment section exploded. "Oh my God, Queen, that's iconic. Such a creative idea. Men be mad, but this is art." Ah! My hands were shaking. I replayed it 3 times, praying I'd misunderstood. But the engraving, my grandmother's initials, was right there under the paint. I stormed into her studio. "You posted the necklace?" I asked, voice trembling. She looked up startled. "Yeah, isn't it blowing up?" "I'm getting crazy engagement right now." "Bella, you painted over my grandmother's necklace," I said, trying to keep my composure. She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, it's just metal. I can clean it later." "Why are you acting like I killed someone?" That sentence hit harder than any scream could. Because to me, that necklace was someone. It was love, memory, and connection all turned into a prop for strangers to double-dash tap. As I walked out of that room, one thought burned through me, not just anger, but realization. This wasn't just disrespect. This was who she really was. The hours after that fight felt like walking through smoke, thick, suffocating, impossible to think straight. I sat on the edge of the bed while Bella stayed in her studio, humming along to some trending audio, editing the video like nothing happened. My chest ached, my hands still shaking. I wanted to scream, but all that came out was silence. When I finally spoke, it was barely above a whisper. "You need to delete that video." From behind the door, I heard her laugh, not out of humor, but disbelief. "Delete it?" "Babe, it's at 50,000 views. This is my best performing post yet." I stood there, stunned. "You turned my grandmother's memory into content," I said, trying to hold back the anger. "Do you even hear yourself?" She swung the door open, arms crossed, her tone defensive. "You're so sensitive. You should be proud. Your grandma's necklace is trending." That sentence broke something in me. "Proud?" I said quietly. "She raised me, Bella. She was the only person who ever made me feel like I mattered. And you used her for engagement." Her face hardened. "Wow, you really can't stand seeing me succeed, can you? You're jealous that people love my work." Jealous. That word burned. She twisted my pain into envy, like I was competing with her for attention. After that night, things shifted. We barely spoke. When we did, it was through sharp remarks and cold silence. I started sleeping on the couch. The air between us was heavy, full of resentment, disappointment, and something uglier. Realization I'd fallen in love with. Someone who only saw value in visibility. And I was beginning to see what happens when someone's need for attention outweighs their capacity for love. But what I didn't know yet was that the internet, the thing she worshipped, was about to turn on her. 2. A few days later, I woke up to my phone buzzing non-stop. At first I thought it was work, but then I saw the notifications. Bella's video had gone viral, but not in the way she expected. The comments had shifted overnight. Someone had apparently done a little digging and found my old Instagram post, the one where I'd shared a photo of my grandmother wearing that exact same necklace. The caption had read, "Her favorite necklace. Now my reminder." The top comment on Bella's post said, "Wait, wasn't that his dead grandma's necklace?" Everything unraveled from there. Comment after comment flooded in. "Girl, that's not aesthetic. That's disgusting. She really destroyed a family heirloom for views. This is so disrespectful. Who does that?" Bella's cheerful tone turned defensive. She started replying to comments, saying people were taking things out of context, that it was just a joke, and that I didn't mind. When I saw that, something inside me snapped. I walked into the living room where she was frantically scrolling through her feed, eyes wide, muttering to herself, "They're twisting everything. Someone must have told them it was yours." "Maybe because it was mine," I said, standing in the doorway. She looked up, panicked. "You told people, didn't you? You're trying to ruin me?" Her words hit me like a slap. "Bella, you did that yourself," I said quietly. "All I did was love you." She stood there trembling, face lit by the glow of her phone, the same device she'd built her world around. I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't scared of what she'd done to me. She was scared of losing them, her followers, her validation, her identity. I thought the worst was over, but I hadn't seen the full depth of her desperation yet, the lies she'd spin next to save her image, even if it meant destroying mine. Because when someone lives for attention, truth is always the first casualty. That night, Bella locked herself in her studio again. I could hear the faint, frantic tapping of her phone screen through the door, the rhythm of damage control. I tried to block it out, but something in my gut told me to check what she was planning. I don't know what I expected, maybe another apology video, maybe her deleting the post, but what I found in her drafts made my blood run cold. The title on the next TikTok draft read, "Apology Transformation Fixing. My boyfriend's grandma's necklace into something better." In the clip, she was sitting at her crafting table with a bright smile and tearful eyes. "Hey everyone," she began. "I just want to make things right. So today, I'm melting down the necklace and turning it into a bracelet to symbolize forgiveness and growth." She actually said those words. I couldn't breathe. She wasn't just refusing to apologize. She was planning to destroy the necklace completely. For redemption views, I stepped into the room. "You were going to melt it?" I asked, my voice trembling. She spun around, startled. "You weren't supposed to see that." "It's not finished yet. Not finished." I could barely hold back my anger. "You've already destroyed it once, and now you want to melt what's left for another trend." She crossed her arms, defensive. "You don't get it. People forgive creators who own their mistakes. This could fix my image. It's called storytelling." I stared at her, the girl I'd once thought I'd build a future with, and realized she saw my grandmother's memory as a prop, my pain as a plot twist. When she stormed out later to clear her head, I went into her studio, hands shaking, and found the necklace sitting on her workbench. Paint-stained, chipped, but still recognizable. I picked it up, wiped away the glitter, felt the engraving beneath my thumb. For the first time in months, I acted on instinct, not emotion. I locked the necklace in a safe box and hid it away. That moment wasn't revenge. It was rescue. Bella came home a few hours later, her energy sharp and restless, the kind of tension that fills a room before words even start flying. I was sitting at the kitchen table, the safe box tucked quietly under the bed in our room. She dropped her purse on the counter and looked straight at me. "Where's the necklace?" she demanded. I met her eyes calmly. "Somewhere you'll never find it again." Her face twisted with fury. "You had no right to touch my stuff." I laughed, a short, bitter sound I didn't even recognize coming from myself. Your stuff? That necklace wasn't yours, Bella. It never was. You used it. You disrespected it. You don't deserve to even look at it. She slammed her hands on the table. Do you realize what you've done? I was supposed to post that video tomorrow. My followers are expecting an update. The words hit me like a slap, but not because they hurt, because they revealed everything. She didn't care about me, my grandmother, or what she destroyed. She only cared about staying relevant. I stood up slowly. You need help, I said quietly. Real help, not another filter or post. Because you can't keep turning people's pain into your performance. Her voice cracked as she screamed, You'll regret this when I blow up. You'll be begging to get me back. I looked at her, this stranger I once thought was my partner, and shook my head. No, Bella, I won't. Because I already regret staying this long. She stormed out, slamming the door so hard the walls shook. I just stood there, staring at the empty hallway, feeling a strange mix of relief and heartbreak. That night, for the first time in months, the apartment was silent. No ring light hum, no notifications pinging. Just me and the heavy, peaceful quiet that follows the end of something poisonous. But I didn't realize she wasn't done. She had one more performance left, and this time it would nearly destroy me. The peace didn't last long. 3 days after she left, I woke up to a storm of missed calls and messages. My phone was lighting up like a siren. Friends, coworkers, even distant relatives texting. Is this true? Dude, what happened? I opened TikTok, and my blood ran cold. Bella had posted a new video. It started with soft piano music and her crying into the camera. I've been silent because I've been healing, she said, her voice trembling just enough to sound believable. I was in a really toxic relationship with someone who tried to control me, who stole from me and made me feel worthless. I'm sharing this so other women know you can survive emotional abuse. The comments were vicious. Stay strong, girl. Men like that don't deserve someone like you. I knew he looked controlling in her old videos. Within hours, the narrative flipped. She wasn't the selfish influencer anymore. She was the victim. My DMs filled with hate. Strangers telling me to rot, tagging me in duets, calling me an abuser, saying I stole her property. I sat on the floor, shaking, scrolling. Watching my life unravel in real time, I tried messaging her, take it down. You know this isn't true. She left me unread. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her crocodile tears, the fake remorse. The way she'd weaponized sympathy like she always did attention. I wanted to fight back, but I also knew how the internet worked once a story sticks. Truth doesn't matter. For the first time, I felt completely powerless. She had my pain, my reputation, my voice, all twisted for her narrative. I sat in the dark. The safe box beside me, my grandmother's necklace resting inside. I ran my thumb over the engraving ML and whispered, "What would you do, Grandma?" The answer came in silence, but I could feel it. You don't run from liars. You expose them the next morning. I woke up with a strange calm, the kind that only comes after you've been broken past the point of fear. I wasn't angry anymore. I was done being silent. For days, I'd watched her rewrite the truth while I drowned in her lies. Now it was my turn to speak, not out of revenge, but out of self-respect. I set up my phone on the same kitchen counter where she used to film her aesthetic videos. No filters, no edits, no music. Just me. I hit record. Hey, I began, my voice steady. I wasn't going to respond to the lies being spread about me, but I owe it to myself and to my grandmother to tell the truth.
Oh.
How Bella had taken the necklace without permission. How she'd painted over it for a trend. How she'd tried to melt it for forgiveness content. I showed screenshots, messages where she admitted it was mine. Photos of my grandmother wearing it. I didn't insult her, didn't yell. I just laid it all out. Quiet, factual, and real. When I finished recording, I hesitated before posting. For a moment, I worried it would just make things worse. But then I looked at the necklace, chipped yet still intact, and pressed upload. It didn't take long. Within hours, the video exploded. Comments flooded in. Wait, she lied? Bro stayed silent and then dropped evidence like a nuke. Justice for Grandma ML. Bella's name started trending, not for fame this time, but for exposure. Her apology video was taken down. Brands she'd worked with began unfollowing her. Her own fans started demanding accountability, but I didn't celebrate. I just sat there in the quiet, watching the truth do what anger never could, heal something inside me. Still, a part of me knew this wasn't over yet, because while the internet had turned on her, I hadn't faced the part of me she'd damaged most. It's the part that still needed closure, and that came next. After I posted the video, everything moved fast, faster than I could process. Within 2 days, Bella's follower count dropped by hundreds of thousands. Screenshots of her old comments, the video drafts, even voice notes she'd sent to friends started surfacing. People began piecing together the truth on their own. I didn't have to say another word. The internet, her once loyal stage, became her jury. Friends who had ghosted me during the chaos started messaging again. Man, I'm sorry. I didn't know she really fooled everyone. I read them, but I didn't respond. I wasn't angry anymore, just tired. That kind of exhaustion you feel when the adrenaline fades and reality finally sets in. 3 nights later, I got a message from Bella. Just one line, "You destroyed my career." I stared at it for a long time before replying, "You destroyed yourself." That was the first time I realized how free I finally felt. There was no satisfaction, no revenge, just peace. For the first time in months, I could breathe without my chest tightening. A week later, took the necklace to a local jeweler, an older man with kind eyes who didn't ask too many questions. He worked on it carefully, polishing away the paint, fixing the cracks, restoring what he could. When he handed it back, it wasn't perfect. A few tiny chips remained where the damage had been too deep to erase. But I smiled anyway, because that imperfection felt right. It told the story of what it had survived. When I held it in my hand again, I didn't think about Bella. I thought about my grandmother, about how she'd always said, "Things that hold love can break, but love itself never does." And in that moment, I finally understood what she meant. But there was still one last thing. I had to do one quiet goodbye that would close this chapter forever. A month later, I drove out to the old countryside cemetery where my grandmother was buried. It was early morning, soft fog drifting through the trees, dew clinging to the grass. I hadn't been there since the funeral. For a long time I couldn't face it. But now, with the necklace resting against my chest again, felt like I was finally ready. I brought fresh lilies, her favorite. I placed them beside her gravestone and sat on the damp ground. The silence around me felt sacred. I took the necklace off, held it in my palm, and whispered, "I got it back, Grandma." For the first time in months, I let myself cry, not from anger, not from humiliation, but release. Every memory, every betrayal, every sleepless night melted into that moment. The necklace gleamed faintly in the morning light, no longer polished to perfection, but real, like something that had lived through pain and still remained whole. I thought about Bella then, not with hate, but with pity. She'd spent her life chasing validation from strangers, while I'd nearly lost something irreplaceable trying to love her. I realized I wasn't angry anymore because I didn't need to be. She'd already punished herself by turning her life into an act she could no longer escape from, before leaving. I slipped the necklace back around my neck and whispered, "Thank you for teaching me what value really means." I rolled down the window and let the wind hit my face. For the first time in years, I felt light, like I'd finally stepped out of the shadow of someone else's chaos. I didn't post about it. I didn't need to. Some stories aren't meant for views. They're meant for closure. She used my grandmother's necklace for fame. I used her betrayal for peace.